Hey everybody, and welcome back to H Invests. So today I wanted to talk about credit cards, and I wanted to share with you guys my perspective from using credit cards over the past 3 years and try and give you guys some useful information when making a decision as to whether you should get a credit card or not. So big disclaimer, I'm not suggesting that anybody should personally take out a credit card. This is solely your own decision, and this video is purely educational, my perspective, and explaining some of the advantages and disadvantages of credit cards. Right, so the first thing that I wanted to discuss, and it's a very, very important point, is negativity bias. So imagine if you're out running and you see a pot of gold. Obviously, you're going to run towards that pot of gold, right? But then imagine if a bear comes up behind you. Are you going to start running quicker? Of course you are. Why do I bring up this analogy? This is negativity bias. It's effectively the idea that negative events, negative stories will draw in more attention than positive ones. This is purely just because of the way that our psyche is wired up. Our survival mechanisms are in place for us to want to survive and be risk averse. So you will run towards a pot of gold, but you won't run towards that pot of gold as fast as you would if a massive bear was chasing you. The reason that I bring these up is that credit card companies, they get a lot of stick because of this negativity bias. You know, you go on the news and I bet you go on the news today, 75% of the news is negative, right? Because negative news sells, because it's scary, and it plays into this idea that something scary could harm us, and it plays into that psyche of, oh no, this negative news could harm me, I want to survive, and thus it gets more attention. This is particularly prevalent with credit card companies because they kind of have this asymmetric structure where there's a very small but notable benefit to the majority of their customers, but unfortunately a small minority of their customers experience large downsides, and sometimes these downsides are very large, very quick, and in very unfortunate circumstances. You're probably aware of the exceptional interest rates that people find themselves having to pay if they don't use credit cards in the right way. And this is very unfortunate. And then obviously this is the negative example that sticks in people's minds. And this is the negative example that stuck in my mind when I was growing up. And then I just kind of had this negative connotation towards credit cards. And I was never really made aware that if you use the credit cards right, there's actually very little risk and there are some good benefits that they can provide. So that's basically what I wanted to discuss. I wanted to shed some light on the positive side of credit cards when, if used correctly, they can actually give you good benefits. Okay, so what are these benefits that I am talking about with credit cards? Well, number one is building good credit. So, you know, if you can get a credit card and then you can get yourself into a small amount of debt every month and then pay off that debt consistently, that's showing that you're a very, very responsible lender. I recently did a deal on a buy-to-let property, and the fact that I had years and years and years of credit card statements with small amounts of money paid off every month really, really helped my application to get a mortgage. The second thing is cashback and rewards. This was something that I really wasn't aware of when I was younger, is that a lot of these credit card companies, they actually provide benefits for you. So the way it would work is with regards to cashback, if you spent like every pound on a credit card, they would give you a small amount of money in cash, which is what I've got on one of my credit cards at the moment, which is the Platinum Cashback card. These are actually two screenshots from the American Express apps of two of the credit cards that I use at the moment. Another one of my credit cards, the British Airways American Express card, or the BA Amex, that provides Avios points. So every time I spend, virtually anywhere, a lot of businesses will accept credit cards, and most large businesses, pretty much all large businesses, will accept credit cards. It does depend on the type of credit card, but for the most part, you'll be okay and you can be building up points. So the way this Avios works is it's like a currency. You can build up that currency over time and then you can use it to spend on stuff, basically. So this summer I got a free flight from London to Madeira to go on holiday, which really, really helped. And I'd earned that flight just from building up points on my credit card, little by little, month by month. Okay, and this is the final thing, and I saved vendors, disputes and safety for last because it's probably the most important and the biggest benefit that I think with credit cards. So if you're paying for something dodgy, or if you have a dispute with a vendor, if it's on your credit card, it is so much easier to resolve the dispute. Why? The credit card company technically pays for it, and then you are obligated to pay off that credit card at some point in the future. So yeah, the way it would work is if you have a vendor dispute, and this has happened to me many, many times, you can literally get on the phone to the credit card company, and they're very good at being on your side. American Express in particular, when I've used them for vendor disputes, they've been very, very good at being on my side. I can call them in the middle of the night if something hasn't arrived on time, and then what will happen is, if you can give them a good solid explanation of why you've had a dispute with a seller, they will credit your American Express card back, and then they will get in touch with the vendor. And it is up to the vendor to then explain to the credit card company why they have fulfilled the obligations of that transaction that you purchased. And if the vendor can't do it, then the vendor never gets the money, and American Express will sort it out for you. The onus is then on the vendor to prove that whichever transaction you're having a dispute went through correctly. And if they can't do that, then American Express have got your back, and you never pay for that disputed item, which is a really, really massive benefit, particularly if you're paying for something like a big item of furniture and it's got a long delivery time and it's a few weeks late, and that really impacts your schedule. Whatever it happens to be, credit card companies are generally very good at having your back when it comes to vendor disputes and paying for something that might be deemed a little bit dodgy. Okay, so how to be responsible. I'm aware that 30% APR picture that I showed a couple slides ago might still be ringing in people's minds. So the real question is, if you do get these benefits from credit card companies, how do you use credit cards responsibly and make sure that you don't pay any fees? This is the bit that really scared me and really held me back from thinking that credit card companies were a positive thing when I was a teenager. So yeah, as I said, unfortunately, some people experience large downsides when using credit cards. And this is the thing, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest if getting a credit card is right for you. Because there are just some people, if you don't have the right mentality and you're not fiscally disciplined, you just have to be really honest and say, this isn't something for me. It's not something like getting married or investing from a young age or getting that dream career. If you don't have a credit card, it is not going to be a barrier to your life whatsoever. They just provide good benefits for the people that feel comfortable in using them. Right, so this is the key. You want to get your credit card set up on direct debit, which pays your credit card in full every month. Here again, you've got a screenshot from my American Express app, and you can see I've got this option to pay it in full. So what happens is I buy stuff on my credit card, and then the direct debit will automatically come out my bank account every month. What was stressing me out before I bought a credit card was like, oh, I'm going to put a few £100s on this credit card, and then I might forget to pay it off with my bank account, and then I'm going to get in 30% debt, and then that's going to spiral out of control, and it's not going to be good. No, that's not how it works. If you set it up properly, if you set up a direct debit to pay your credit card off every month, you will not accumulate any interest on that credit card at all, and it won't cost you any money. And then the other thing is just to be fiscally disciplined. I touched on this a couple of minutes ago, but know what you can afford to spend every month. Don't take a credit card out and then immediately spend £10,000, which you're not going to be able to pay back for years and years to come. So, one way I like to think about this is like, what ratio of your total income do you want to be putting on your credit card? If you're going to be earning an average of $2,500 every month, don't go out and spend $2,400 on a credit card, because that will stress you a lot. But if you are earning an average of $2,500 a month, and you want to be spending a few $100s on a credit card, is that reasonable? Yes. You've got a really, really good margin of safety to be able to pay off that credit card in full every month. Everybody's got their own, level of how much they want to go, what proportion of their expenses they want to be putting on their credit card, and that is a personal decision. But what I would say is that you want it to be far, far below 100%, so that you know when that direct debit is going to come to your bank account every month, you're going to be able to pay it off in full and still have some money left over. I would also say it's a good idea to have a cash buffer. This is not exclusively credit card advice, but just general life advice. Like, always have a cash buffer just in case something happens, right? Just in case for whatever reason, so that you then don't go into your bank overdraft and you're not able to pay off your credit card in full. Okay, so last things last, how to get started with credit cards. What I would say is use a credit broker. Like, there are many credit card companies on the market. They've all got their own websites and businesses, and you want somewhere where that is all in one place. And by getting a credit card broker, that really helps just put it all in one place. And what they will do is they will ask you for certain information, like your living status, whether you're married or not married, how much money you're earning a year, whether you have any children or dependents, and so on and so forth. And then they will determine which credit cards are right for you. What they will probably give you at the start are credit cards where you can start building your credit score. They might not have the cashback or the airline benefits that I mentioned to start with, but these credit cards will allow you to demonstrate to lenders that you're a reliable, and that will boost your credit card score very quickly. And then you can also access the benefits of getting extra cashback when you use credit cards. There are also credit cards in the very high tiers where you do pay an annual fee in order to get exclusive benefits like airport lounges, or it might be cheap deals on hotels. I haven't used any of those yet, just because I don't really feel like I need the pressure. Like, I don't need to be spending £400 a year on these fees to use the exclusive hotels and locations I might not be going to. But if you find one with an annual fee that benefits the lifestyle that you have, then that might be something looking into. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. The information in this video, as I said, it's solely my opinion and what I've experienced with credit cards. They have really helped me through, as I said, getting a mortgage, through building up a little bit of credit, which I've been able to use, and also saved me a lot of money through vendor disputes. However, you just have to quantify that risk reward and say, am I going to be fiscally responsible with myself? And am I going to spend a small amount on my credit cards, which I can pay off each month and then not incur any interest? I hope you guys found this video useful. I've been H Invests. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video.